issues that I've mentioned earlier, that government heavily divested in railway development for so many years. For example, in 2004, I think Nigeria Railway Corporation declared bankruptcy. So, and it's saddled with a lot of challenges, some of which have not been overcome up till now, despite this present administration effort, like issue of aging workforce. You discover that the corporation that is the major operator, that is the single operator in Nigeria, has a very precarious system of having to pay salaries of pensioners more than those of the active workers. So these are issues that are potentially the reasons where we find ourselves. But the government today, at every forum, at every a presentation, continuously and persistently requested for, as leverage for participation, inclusion in all proposals, local content, including capacity building, establishment of relevant factories, and railway rolling stock assembly plants, locomotive, wagons in Nigeria. We have also thought on the possibility of having our major contractor, which as you know today are the Chinese, to establish a university in Nigeria with particular focus on railway engineering. This has been accepted, and I think it's a possibility. And for professionals in engineering generally in Nigeria, government has recently approved a program of participation that will involve Nigerian engineers in the development, right from planning, design to construction of the railway infrastructure, as well as issues relating to the railway systems. By agreeing to open the field for consultancy firms to participate in the tenders and the procurement of services relating to supervision of the project. And also minding the fact that we don't have a traditional entity like we have experienced in other countries that deals with railway in Nigeria. The government has also approved a program of knowledge sharing and apprenticeship. This should lead us to a situation whereby we have an entity with significant government equity for planning, design, and supervision of railways by Nigerian professionals. This is on now under the auspices of Nigerian Society of Engineers, and we have marked a meeting with the Honorable Minister of Transportation for later this year. So that is far as capacity building effort of the present government goes. Somebody mentioned insurance for construction. In all our contracts, notwithstanding that the contractors are Chinese, this is based on the diktat of the funding partners. You all know that financially we are very weak at dealing with these issues. And the financial partners will insist, and I'm sure anywhere you go in the world today, on the 3 C's. The country, the content, and credit. This must be affirmatively adhered to. If you go to get a loan, concessionary, commercial, or what have you, or blending, the criteria is that my own company will come to your country and build the infrastructure. And if you are procuring operational assets, I will also bring it from my own land. So therefore, we have to cope with that. And that kind of limits our access as far as local content is concerned also. But for the insurance, we have placed it as a mandate that the construction companies use the Nigerian insurance companies. And this has been so up till now, and it has not changed. For the Abuja Ikulu Kaduna project that is nearing completion. We have the Nigerian Insurance Company there. Other projects that are to take up very soon, like Lagos, Ibadan, Kano, Kaduna, and Calabar, Port Harcourt, will also have Nigerian content in terms of insurance and brokers. Somebody asked a question also about.
Because we noticed that some questions would have answers in subsequent presentations. So we're conscious of time, that we do not spend so much time talking about what we want to do. I think we should be talking about the things we have done. Things you want to do that are, of course. Okay, it says things you want to do. But, right. So there's a question from a gentleman called Peter Frampton from Sheffield online. He said he wants to know one thing that you can tell us that would happen, that you can hold on to will be a reality in Q1 2017, knowing that it's more of talk than action. Peter Frampton, Sheffield, online. One thing he said you'd want. Peter Frampton from Sheffield, watching, streaming from his university campus. What is the one thing that you would tell us you would have done by Q1 2017, knowing that most sessions like this, all talk, no action? Peter Frampton. Yeah. He wants to answer the question.
I think if I may relay correctly, when His Excellency, the Governor of Ogun State, was giving his keynote address, he said Q1 2017, there will be flag off of the light rail system in Ogun State.
Peter, can you hear us clearly?
That's what he said. I'm reiterating that. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to say something?
I think I have a number of issues I want to respond to based on the questions that we've received so far. While the NRC MD and Director of Rail have responded to issues that have to do with the federal government and railway funding, I want to respond to the issue of the right of way for Ogun State light rail project that the governor mentioned, 500 meters on either side. Well, I think the way things have been done in Ogun State that I have witnessed, you would agree with me that things have been done, especially with land acquisition, whether for real estate or for agriculture. They've had less of issues, less of acrimony than many other states in Nigeria. And I haven't had any time in recent past where there are fights or government people taking government to court. So I think within the framework that they've been working over the years, which is consulting with people, landowners, communities, and investors, they've somehow evolved a scheme and a framework that work for them. And I believe that's the spirit with which this will continue. But we're not going to do what is traditionally done, which is where you just acquire land for permanent ways of railway. No, we're going to make this a truly R plus P, rail plus property model, where we're going to take maximum advantage of all the development along that corridor. And I'm in a good position to say this because we carry out the feasibility studies and we are still on the project. Secondly, somebody mentioned the issue of opportunity for insurance industry during construction. I think beyond construction, there's also opportunity for insurance industry during operations. There's so much to do in the course of operations. I'm very familiar, for instance, with the maritime industry. Every aspect of a ship is usually insured. The same thing with training. You need to insure your train, you need to insure your passengers. It's just like aircraft. So it's not just the construction alone. There's so much that you can insure within the entire value chain. And at the end of the day, all these things are tied back again to the insurance industry. Even some of the KPIs, the government might insist. For instance, if you look at availability and reliability, some of these things can be tied to performance guarantee. They can be tied to insurance bonds to say if we default on availability, if we default on reliability, then you have to give us a bond that we can pull in case some of these things don't happen. So I think the industry needs to open itself up. And if you need more information or expert advice, we're happy to lend you that, and then at a fee, of course, not for free. Thank you.
Also, to do with stakeholder conferences on NRC, somebody was asking why we don't engage the public. Actually, we've had so many, about 3 stakeholder meetings. We had one in Abuja, we have had one in Lagos here, and the one is being planned during this concessioning of NRC. So we are also engaging and informing people every day on the media on what is happening, and any small opportunity we have like this one, we try and come and participate and give highlights to Nigerians on what is happening on NRC and the plans for the nation. Also on the source of energy on NRC. Just like you are aware that in the railway engineering technology, there are so many sources of energy. We have, the present one is EMU, that's electric multiple units, and I mean, that is being powered 100% by energy, by dedicated line. But presently what we are doing in Nigeria is because of the problem we are having with energy, is mostly powered by diesel. So diesel is what is being used now. But in the new design, what we have done when we are doing conceptualizing the design, we have, the design is done in such a way that it's upgradable. It can be upgraded. Even the fact that the maximum speed we are using is 150 kilometers per hour, we intend to upgrade it. We made it flexible for it to be upgraded to 250 kilometers per hour, in which case you need to be sure that you leave provision for capillary structures for electricity in case you want to convert from diesel to electricity. So presently we are operating on diesel energy using petroleum products. Also on the problem of NRC, the problem of NRC is very huge. We have, one of the challenges is that we are operating a system that is over 100 years old, the decaying infrastructure, which requires a lot of money. Unfortunately, again, due to the problem we are having in the nation, the Nigerian system is not having maintenance they don't normally make provision for maintenance as in budgetary provisions. Even when they make it, it's not adequate. So systems like these that are very old, you agree with me that the cost of maintenance will be higher. Even the cost of maintenance sometimes is zero in a particular year. In fact, the issue to do with even the rehabilitation was due to accumulated maintenance for over 15 years. No cover was made provided for maintenance. So this accumulated and it led to the rehabilitation of the railway system. We also have, just like the governor said, political will. You need a political will to be able to do investment. Railway construction and the operation is a very highly capital incentive. Like for example, I remember when we were in the Vision 2020 Committee on Transport, when we were conceptualizing on Vision 2020, we discovered within that 10 years to Vision 2020, during that time, 10 years time to year 2020, we required almost $35 billion US investment. And when you calculated that one, we required almost 5 billion every year non-stop for the next 8 years that time. And if you look at what is happening, even from that time when the Vision 2020 committee finished their work up to now, if you quantify what actually went into construction, it's not up to 1 billion in a year. So we are still very much behind. So you need a lot of investment, you need a lot of political will to be able to do this. And lack of investment in NRC, I mean railways, is a very, it's a real problem that we are having. Also, you are aware also that the federal government in the year 2002 had already commissioned Vision 25-year strategic plan for NRC, I mean for railway development in the nation. And it's been done into 3 phases. And this is a document that has been approved. Unfortunately, just like we have the Vision 2020 not being implemented the way it was designed, we also have our vision not being implemented. We're supposed to have at least, even right from the beginning when the Vision 2020 was conceptualized, at least we're supposed to have been having at least minimum of 200 kilometers of new railway system expansion every year. Unfortunately, it's the only one we have had in the last 5 years is the Abuja-Kaduna in the last 5 years. And the one from Ajakuta to Warri has been there since 1982. And up to now, we have not been able to complete it. The same thing to do with the maintenance. The old system, we need nothing less than 18 billion naira every year for maintenance. So, and maintenance of rolling stock, maintenance of the permanent way, nothing is sometimes, in the past 3 years now, we have not, even this year, we don't have any kobo meant for maintenance. So we have a lot of problem in terms of
Thank you very
lack of
much.
funding.
Any other thing then? Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's important for us to be aware of one critical fact, that we can go on and on talking to each other amongst ourselves, and if we do not learn from those who have already done it, it's going to be difficult for us to make progress. I'm going to take 3 more questions, and after that we close. 3 more questions. I know the gentleman there I'm committed to, Dr. Amao I'm committed to, and one other person, and that's it. The reason I say this is this. The governor has spoken, the representative of the Honorable Minister has also spoken. You heard from the Managing Director of Nigeria Railways. We need to know what opportunities lie within this industry. We need to know how it works in other parts of the world. We have the MD for Lamata here. His opposite number, who is in charge of TFL, Transport for London, is also here. So Lamata would need to learn from TFL, and TFL would also might be learning a few things from Lamata. So we have here Can Udisgov, whose job is to help secure funding for railway systems. Now tell me, ladies and gentlemen, when you have such men waiting to tell us things, don't you think we should listen twice as much as we speak? There's an old Indian proverb that says, if you want to know the condition of the road ahead, ask those who are coming back. I'm not asking you, I'm not muting you. You can ask your questions. But when we leave here at 4:30, what would you have liked to have happen? I went to talk or I went to listen? The choice is yours. We'll have 3 more questions and then we take answers from the floor. I'm committed to the gentleman there. I'm committed to Dr. Lola Amao and one other person who reaches the microphone before any other. Whilst you ask that question, may I please ask Engineer Oluwasunkanmi Kushaga, Director, Rail Transport Lamata, to stand by, because you're coming up to speak to us, and Mr. Richard Ogundele to speak for not more than 10 minutes each, so that we can hear the opportunities, the economic development, and how to seek funds. I think that is where the meat is, how we can make this a success. Thank you. You may please ask your question. In English, please. I don't think they want you to speak. The microphone has been muted.
Okay, my name is Henry Wangum, and I am the Executive Secretary of Ikeja Development Alliance. We're actually working hand in hand with other stakeholders, particularly the USAID Next project, to see to the fruition of the Ikeja Corridor Initiative. Something strikes me instantly, and that is Nigeria has an ambition to be a logistics hub for the whole of Western Central Africa. Here we are talking about rail. I'm just wondering, the gentleman from Ministry of Transport, what is the exact position in terms of having a national logistics strategy, which will be multimodal, incorporating shipping services, internal rail, including light rail, our internal waterways, roads and all that, and even air. What is that
Okay,
overreaching?
Henry, thanks. They've got the main gist
Yes.
of it. Can we have Dr. Lolama will ask her question quickly, please? Oh, sorry, I have 3 people, I said. I've got to have Lolama next, and then the third person, whoever grabs the microphone.
Okay, can I go on?
That means you're the third. So let's have Lolama second. We want to have gender equality.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for giving me the opportunity. I'm very keen to understand the strategy behind our rail system and rail network in Nigeria, and how we're going to take ourselves from a country that doesn't produce iron and steel at the moment to meet the demands. I also want us to look at the human capital as key to the operations and maintenance of whatever systems we put in place, and how our national curriculum at vocational and professional level, higher learning and what have you, will support the systems, the technologies, the processes that we're going to put in place. We really need to look at strategic partnerships. And I'm one who believes that if we partner properly and we look at collaboration, cooperation, and coordination as a way to attract foreign direct investment, we may not have to spend a dime. And we may be able to create the types of jobs and opportunities we have locally, because we have the mineral resources and the natural resources which we can leverage off. And I think those are the sort of discussions we should be having in this room over the next few days, so that at the end of the day, we are creating wealth, jobs, and opportunities locally, and then we solve the equation of local content, unemployment of our youths, and the lack of strategy that has plagued us in the past 100 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Amao. I'm almost certain that that question fits nicely into two of the other sessions where we're going to look at the opportunities that exist within the Nigerian railway industry. Vendor education, training, and all the bits will be well captured there. If there's anything else, I'm sure the panel would like to answer. But one more question from the gentleman in the bow tie, Joe.
You said who grabbed it now?
He grabbed it. The gentleman, Joe, grabbed it first. So if you don't mind.
I do mind.
You do mind? I do mind too.
My name is Sheni Dosumu, consultant with IFC, specialist in PPP. I'm glad you mentioned concession. I'd like to know if you have in place this transaction advisory for the concession, and what are the time frame for this concession, and whether it's going to be for passengers or for light rail. That's why I'm here. Thank you.
I did say to you, interestingly, the answers are available. So thanks for asking. Joe, I'm keeping to my word.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that, Richie. My name is Joe Wilson. I'm a management consultant. The question I'd like to article, and it's got to do with what we have on hand. In Ethiopia, a few years ago, they conceived a rail project which is 50 kilometers long. It was delivered in record time, 2 years. I wouldn't like to mention how much it cost. We have one in Lagos that was conceived in 2006. If my memory serves me right, is still ongoing. Would like to know, what is this issue that holds us down?
Thank you. Interestingly, the representative of the managing director of Lamata is here. I'm sure during this presentation he would answer that question. Let's now go to the panel. Maybe the MD of Planet Projects can throw some light to the questions they've asked very quickly so that we can move on with our presentations. Thank you very kindly for being patient.
Thank you very much. Well, on the issue of the PPP, I think I would rather government respond to that. But I know they do hire a number of transportation advisors at the Federal Ministry of Transport. I've seen a couple of adverts. But how they go about this, I think is best left to Federal Ministry of Transport really to deal with, which I'm sure the Director of Rail will be very pleased to speak about. On the issue of strategy for national rail development, I'm also concerned about this, because in fact it's part of the reason again why we're having this conference. Like I always say, railway is not just about projects. We have to look at the holistic development. We have to look at how we can evolve the industry. And we are glad to have the Director of Rail here. I'm sure some of the notes they will take back to Abuja also will involve things like how do we integrate our university system into the rail industry? How do we develop the consulting industry to serve the rail industry, insurance, even the legal framework have to be looked at, institutional issues, construction industry. So there's a whole lot to be done to be able to integrate this. Otherwise, we end up what has happened in the oil and gas industry as well. For many years, the oil and gas operated as a silo. We just hear big figures, billions and billions of dollars, but nobody could feel the industry. A lot of professionals can't touch anything. We can't provide any service within this industry. So in order to avoid a repeat of that is one of the reasons why we're having this conference. And then I believe that as they go back to Abuja, they'll be able to reflect on some of these things and then maybe come up with their own how we can better integrate our services emerging industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. On the concession issue, it might interest you to note that the government taking cognizance of the fact that the existing Nigerian narrow gauge, which is being operated by the Railway Corporation, is performing at suboptimal level, cannot meet the requirement for logistics as far as railway is concerned, coupled with all the inherent problem it has. Government decide in order to achieve a system that is well functioning, able to support industries in agro, mining, and manufacturing sector, decided to place it on concession. As we speak, the due diligence and assessments of business cases are ongoing for the purpose of attaining the necessary due procedures. Government or the ministry, the Federal Ministry of Transportation, obtain approval of government to appoint transaction advisors made up of legal, infrastructure advisor, and a lead advisor of finance, on financing aspects. So they are to drive the government business case, negotiate the concession contract with the preferred bidder, and come out with a business financial model that is beneficial, first of all, to Nigerians, that is well emphasized in the approval we have. So as of today, concession is going on, and we are exercising all due diligence by appointing transaction advisors. I think that answers your question on that. On the other question, which you mentioned strategy for development and O&M, that is operational and maintenance issue. I think the lady has asked that question. I think one of the major reason why we welcome this particular forum in the ministry was because, according to the briefing that we had, it's going to dwell very much on the issue of operation and maintenance. Ironically, I can tell you this, that the issue of what is going to be the future of all this infrastructure we are providing, what is going to be the future? Would they on their own be able to make returns? Would they pay for themselves? Has become a primary concern of even some of our co-financiers for the infrastructure provision. And we are open to proposals and to achieve a blueprint that will deal from commencement of the project, that will look at the overall planning and design, not for a particular project, but the entire plan network of the railways, which we hope, barring no disruption in finances, will be realized in the next 10 years maximum. We recognize that this is the time to have a concrete blueprint on ground that will support, in terms of operation and maintenance, that will support a viable railway system for the country. So government will continue on this path and make sure that we're able to engage and make consultations to achieve the necessary benchmark. As for the national curriculum, if you talk in terms of education, if you look throughout our, I believe we are talking about education. If you look throughout our tertiary institutions where we should have things like railway engineering and what have you, there's no Nigerian university that's offering that course. And if you listen to what I've said earlier, I mentioned that it's a major concern of government, and we have already reached a conclusion with the contractors in terms of also breeding local contact to establish an engineering university that will have particular focus on railway industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the engineer, Baba. Thank you very much. I think I would ask that you give the panelists a big round of applause. And may I please ask members of the panel to sit down quietly on the table across there, because this is time for you to learn. Please, MD, please don't go back. I want to be seeing you. Make sure that you're taking your notes. What we have decided to do, having watched the dynamics of the room and seeing that people have questions to ask, and we can have it more like a two-way dialogue, we will ask all the next paper presenters to come and sit down here with us so that they can present what they've got to say in, say, 5 to 7 minutes each. Then we can interject as we go along, as we ask questions, so that we can learn actively on what we need to do to get to where we are going. So, not in any order of priority. I'd like to welcome the Managing Director, GSTC Limited, and consultant to the UITP on light railway, a gentleman who has 4 decades experiential knowledge of the industry, who, as I said earlier, has been to everywhere in the world except Syria, Vladimir Stefanovic. Please come and join us here. Rapidly after Vladimir, I'd like the head of consulting for TfL, that's a Transport for London, who has himself a former politician, so understands the politics behind it, and more of a technocrat who also knows the route map to delivering a promise. He's come from Transport for London. So please, let's welcome Michael Flynn. At the back of our minds, there's a question that someone's asked: what is the position of the repealing of the Railway Act of 1957? I know there's a senator here who would be telling us, Honorable Distinguished Senator, they say they want to know when you're going to repeal the Railway Act of 1957. Think of the answer. They want an answer before you leave. So if you need to make a phone call or call a friend, do so, because you're not going to leave without an answer. I'd also like to welcome Can Yudisgov, who is a training director at UITP. Can is not just a repository of knowledge. He has a PhD in urban development and urbanization, and he's quite knowledgeable on where to get the dollars and the pounds to fund this. I'm sure you'll find him a very relevant person to know, to befriend, and also to convince that you have what it takes to draw the dollars from his wallet. Maybe, do we have the DFID GEM S4 project wholesale and retail sector intervention manager here? Is Mr. Richard Ogundele here in the audience? Mr. Richard Ogundele, is he here? Mr. Biodun Otunwala, is Richard Ogundele here at all? You can't, or should he be arrested? Right. If he comes, or anyone representing that organization, feel free. I think it's also important to welcome the Secretary General for UATP. UATP is the African umbrella organization for what UITP stands for, and that is, you've got quite enough. International Union for Public Transport. You can just imagine. The Secretary General from Abidjan is Yusuf Sise. Please give him a round of applause. They say when Yusuf sneezes, when he sneezes, transportation stops. And when he coughs, it starts again. So please don't sneeze. We move on rapidly. We now look at what Lamata has to tell us, because we're all here in Lagos, and someone asked a question that 10 years ago, using government parlance, they flagged off, and someone said flagging off means starting. They flagged off the Lagos Urban Rail projects, and we do not know what has happened in 10 years. What they're saying, in effect, is 4 years after you flagged off in Lagos, Crossrail flagged off in London 2010, and Crossrail is almost finished. I know there's a difference between Lagos and London, so I know that Michael is here. So Michael, maybe you need to give him a slap on the wrist and ask him what he's doing. Perhaps you could learn something from him as well on how to get yours done. Please, representing the Managing Director, Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority, Lamata, is the Director, Rail Transport. Please welcome Engineer Oluwasunkomi Okushaga. Now, would you be making a PowerPoint presentation? You'll be speaking extemporaneously, or you'll be dancing? Senator, you have the answer to that question. I don't go. You have to answer that question. Okay. The senator wants to answer the question. Oh, please. Engineer Ogushaga, just 1 second. Senator wants to answer that question about the Railway Act.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, I was here at exactly 8 o'clock, knowing fully that it would be an aberration to have come when the program is already on. But I had to be at car park for 2 hours. Yes. So I have other engagements, as you're aware. Yeah, but I can tell you for sure, the Senate of the Federal Republic, and Nigeria, as you're aware, we are bicameral. Any bill passed in Senate, there must be a concurrence at the House of Representatives. Thereafter, they are going to choose committee of 7 to sit and harmonize. Thereafter, it goes to the 2 houses. Nothing can be changed in any way. It then becomes a law. Besides that, it will then go to the president for his assent. And another 30 days is required. That's the procedure of law. In this circumstance, the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria have passed the bill, amended the concurrent and the exclusive list. It is now a concurrent, both for the state and for the federal government of Nigeria. That is the transportation with regards to the railway. So, because we saw the need for the state government that are ambitious to invest in railway transportation business. And you can see Lagos, how far they have gone. So there's no way the federal government will say they are not going to be licensed or being hamstringed in doing what is best for the Federal Republic. So in doing this, we are expecting the House of Representatives to take a cue. And thereafter, the 7 member committees of each committee will meet, harmonize, and bring it back. And the due diligence is done. That is the position of things for now. But I can tell you, the Senate is desirous of making sure both the federal government and the state government have the right to railway business. And not only that, every transportational business requires, except that is not security impeded with regards to our waterways. We know we are having a lot of problems in the present day in Niger Delta. Thank you.
Thank you very much, distinguished Senator. So, do we have a particular time frame in mind?
You see, if witches were horses, beggars will ride.
Thank you very much, Mr. Senator, distinguished Senator.
Thank you.
I was actually expecting a politically correct answer. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, distinguished Senator, sir.
Thank you.
Let me be the first to wish you a lovely day ahead.
Thank you.
The Senate passed the Nigerian Railway Bill 2016 on 21st July 2016. That's new information coming my way. Thank you very much. Right. Engineer Okusaga, are you going to... You have a presentation. Can we please bring the lectern for him so that he can make his presentation? Can we have the lectern, please, gentlemen, so that the Lamata representative can make his presentation and tell us what has happened in the last 10 years. You can just move the chair.
Hello. How is it? Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I'm standing in there for the Managing Director of Lamata, Engineer Biodun Dabere. I think he was just calling suddenly this morning for an official assignment. That's why I'm delegating for him. I have to try to apologize on his behalf first. I hope that is granted by everybody. Lamata, as you all know, is an agency of Lagos State. Lamata means Lagos Metropolitan Transport Authority. Part of his assignment is to implement the governor's vision on transportation in Lagos State. And a few years ago, where you said 2006, I think I have to correct that. That was when they started the road show, going to foreign countries, Dubai, UK, seeking stakeholders and then investors on all the 7 railway network identified as under the Transport Master Plan for Lagos State. And the real flag off was in 2009, not 2006. And that was specifically for Red Line, but due to some political reason, it could not kick off because of right of way, which I think the director from Federal Ministry and the NRC might be aware of that. Back to the representation. I just need to give the back because it have developed in terms of transport in Lagos. We developed what they call a Transport Master Plan, which identified most of identify all the transport mode and then way to move it forward in terms of implementation and operation. Lagos State Transport Master Plan is, as you all know, Lagos is developing fast in its economy and commercial activities, as well as its human population. Due to this rapid growth, its population has stretched the existing transport infrastructure to the brink, which has resulted in the constant traffic and gridlock, as you know. So on that note, we developed Lagos State Transport Master Plan. Lamata developed Strategic Transport Master Plan called STMP. That STMP's aim to identify, bring all transport mode together in terms of bus, rail, water transport. So on that, because we're doing rail conference on rail, so I was specifically talking about rail. We identified formerly it was 7 network. We call it red line, blue line, orange, purple lines. It's like what they call a model of what they call London Underground. That covers all the metropolitan Lagos and stretch across to the suburb in terms of across into Ogun State, Ota, Mowe axis. So, it works. Wow. Where are we? That's there. On our transport master plan, from there you can see that we have the orange line, blue line, yellow line, purple line, gray line. The blue line is starting from Okokomaiko all the way to Marina. The initial plan is for us to go to Ido, but due to some certain constraint, as I said earlier on, we have to change the alignment, and it's not going to go to Ido now, it's going to go from Ibutero to Marina. We have the red line, which from Agbado, as the Excellency said, Agbado is like, we project it to go from Agbado to somewhere in Ogun State. That goes from Agbado to all the way to Ido, and that's about 37 kilometers, and you have a sport that is expected to go into the MMM, which is the Muritala Mohammed Airport. The Okokomaiko one is about 27 kilometers, and the project will have 11 stations. And then we have the green line, which is the Lekki axis, going from Marina to Lekki to all the way to Free Trade Zone. That will be 87 kilometers, 10 stations, and the projected passenger number forecast, if you can see from there, is about 486, almost 500,000. That is from inception, and in 10 years' time, when the construction started or the operation, it grows to about 800,000. The one for the red line goes to about 1.4 million. The blue line is about 750 when everything is completed. And yellow line, it goes to the 11th station, that's almost about 500,000 and goes all the way to 750 in full capacity operation. The purple line, the same thing, inception is 17 kilometers, 17 stations, 60 kilometers. We have projected passenger number at the start of 765,82, projected to go to 1 million in 10 years with full operation. Same thing on the orange line, which is from Agbowa to Ikeja. That one is about 19 stations, and the projected passenger number there is about 520. In 10 years, that got about 750. Then to complement that, we have what they call a monorail, which is going to travel between Ikeja and Victoria Axis. That's been, and then possibly extension to Abraham Adesoya because of the passenger and the volume in that corridor. So we're looking at moving passenger from that axis all the way to Marina. That's complementing the traffic there, as we already know, is already built up the Ajah axis roundabout. At present, they're doing what they call the flyover, but we look at the passenger, we projected that a lot of people moving into that place. So it'll be easier for us to move them easily all the way to Marina and then go back. That's why we have we're proposing for the monorail VI to Ikoyi axis. Yeah, presently, initially, Lamata has the plan to develop the red line, with the concept design, everything preliminary has been done, all packaged in one, and then sent to the federal ministry. From there, went to the presidency office for approval. But the approval was stalled for about 5 years. We were only given the approval about 27th of May last year. So on that note, the excellency there, the former governor said it's better for us not to stop because of the volume of the population and the passenger and the traffic gridlock. Then we decided to go on the blue line and start the construction of the blue line. The blue line has been divided into phases in terms of construction of, we have to be divided into 2 phases. Now phase 1 is to start from in terms of construction, phase 1 is to start from Mile 2 all the way to Marina, which is 12.7 kilometers. The phase 2 is from Mile 2 to Okokomaiko, which has not been awarded yet. In terms of infrastructure construction for the phase 1, we have the 90% completion of the National Theatre to Marina in terms of infrastructure and civil works. I have to make that clearly. Then the National Theatre to Marina, that is across in the lagoon. If most of you that live along that corridor or walk along that corridor can see the bridge spanning across the lagoon. That's about 5 kilometers. It's about 40% completion. Then Okokomaiko, as I said, that one is not awarded yet. And in terms of operation, we plan to have the testing and commission of the first phase, which is the National Theatre to Marina, because the rolling stock has been procured for testing and commissioning alone. We projected to have testing and commission done in first Q1 2018. And I have to say it now, the Excellency body has decided that we're building infrastructure, but we need to get, as we have asked some of the audience said, O&M is very important, that means operation and maintenance. So he has directed us to talk with London, Transport for London, which we're happy to work with, to oversee moving from where we are now to develop a very comprehensive roadmap to where we're going to have full operation. So we have been talking with them, and we hopefully in a few weeks' time, they'll come on board, and then we work with them to have what they call a comprehensive, holistic, and operational roadmap where we're going to work with. On that note, we've benchmarked the program of moving full passenger train to full operation at Q418 at the least. But the testing and commission of moving the train, where you see it, testing and all those stuff will be done in Q1 2018. As we said, when the full operation starts, we have what they call, we're planning phase 2, that will be commencing passenger train from National Theatre to Marina, we projected to have 6 sets of rolling stock. When I say 6 sets, we're talking about 2 motor car and 2 trailer. That's 1 set. That multiplied by 6, so we want to have 24 rolling stock to cater for the first phase, which is National Marina to my 2. Then on full capacity, that when the Okokomaiko section has been completed, we plan to have 15 set of rolling stock. That means, as I said earlier on, 2 set of motor car, 2 set of trailers, multiplied by 15. That was the plan. Red line, which is part of the vision of the excellency. The red line could have been completed long ago, but as I said earlier on, this is the right-of-way issue. But we're happy to say to you now that the right-of-way has been ceded to Lagos State. That is going to run in parallel with the NLC corridor from Agbato all the way to Marina. Presently, the issue of Marina or East of Adebuti has not been clarified. We're still going to, that area is still under review, but we hope that to resolve that very soon. So it's a 37-kilometer route from Agbato to Marina and sport to the local international theater airport. The rail line will run, as I said, parallel to the one of the NLC. The NLC have ceded 15 meters of their right-of-way because they have 30 meters. So we're going to construct parallel to them and a segregated corridor. So the red line will be, we're planning to have it under public-private partnership, which is going to be funded by what they call it, the concessionaire. That's going to be build, operate, maintain, and transfer. That was the plan. As I said earlier on, we have we have a 7 line now reduced to 6. We have a lot of opportunity and investment, which I think this forum will identify. As we said earlier on, as the SLG said, and most of the speakers said, there are a lot of opportunity now. We're open to discussion in terms of financial models, operational plans, stakeholders, power, all those stuff. So this is the status of what we have now. On the red lines, feasibility study has been done, conceptual design concluded. Opportunity that is available is what is written there, as you can see. Feasibility studies, operational business case is available, engineering, design, construction. We open to discussion, and we can come through Lamata or Planet Project, which is in collaboration with Lamata and Lagos State. Similar on blue line, Akokameko to Marina, construction is ongoing. As I said, infrastructure, phase 1 is about 90%. But the O&M, presently, we've sent an RFP out before, and we secured, we'll evaluate them, select a very reputable company, partner by a foreign company. But due to political changes, that has been changed, but we're still open for any O&M expert that can come. Yes. When I say political changes, I know what I mean by that is the sense that the government then was planning to build all this infrastructure and get the O&M concessionaire people to come and operate alone. But the policy has changed. That's what I meant by that. So we have to throw it open. If you can get funding and investor to come and invest, that means complete from where we are, then operate later, which I believe with London Transport for London aside and Planet, that might be visible. Presently, I need to mention the ongoing infrastructure. We have what they call our own concessionaire that has started with the project from inception. The name of the company is Nexans Limited. They are civil and infrastructure consultants. So I don't want to send wrong information from here that people will mix it up from O&M and infrastructure. O&M is operation and maintenance, which Planet Project and TFL is going to be on board with. And then Nexans is a civil infrastructure for the blue line. Back to the presentation, we have the green line, as I said. It's still open, feasibility study done and concluded. So opportunities, you can see feasibility study as well, detailed design, construction, O&M, maintenance and operational maintenance, ticketing, advertising, maintenance facility, all those stuff. There are a lot of opportunities that are still available. Yellow line, nothing has been done about it. It has been brand new, open. We are open to discussion from if it's PPP, maybe EPC plus finance. It depends on the opportunity that is available. So there's a lot of opportunity within this rail sector, as we have been told earlier on. The one from Purple Line, Redeem, and to LASU. This one is planned to tie into what Ogun State is doing because of the population, as the Excellency said earlier on, that we have a population of about 2 million migrating there monthly. So then we have the orange line, which is still open from Agbawa to Ikeja. And then we have the one that is being planned now. Yellow line, there's one from Ikorodu axis, which is still under review. We haven't finalized that. It's going to travel from Agbawa all the way to Ikeja. That was the plan of the whole network. Yeah, opportunity, as I said, continues. Opportunity of investment within Lagos State Rail Program are numerous. Lagos State is keen to partner with private investors to bring vision of the multimodal integrated transport system with railway at its center to reality. As I said earlier on, Lamata Lagos State Transport Implementation Regulator, that's our job. We're the implementation and regulatory agency. We open to different PP options needed to drive the rail development system forward, i.e. the green line, as I said, that they're still open, the purple line, the yellow line, and the orange one from Ikorodu. Interested investors or service provider can contact Lamata or Planet Projects Limited in partnering in Lagos State to drive the vision of transport policy and integration forward. I think on that note, I'll end this presentation because it's basically on what we have done so far in terms of what we plan to do, but detailed talk about what we have done in terms of construction, what we plan to do in terms of operation, signaling, power, rolling stock, that can be available upon request. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Engineer Oluwa Sokomi Okusaga. Please sit down here. The seat is hot enough for you. I just thought it would be proper to have the Director of Rail Transport in Lagos to answer 3 or 4 questions based on his presentation, bearing in mind that he has told us that they are in collaboration with a few international organizations and agencies, and some of them are here. But so that he just doesn't walk off stage like that, he ought to be questioned. So I need 4 questions, please. And I'd like those questions to come from the floor, and they're going to be in the order of those who raise their hands. There was a hand standing here. That's the man from Houston, Texas. Am I right? What's the difference? He's from Washington, D.C. Could you please ask the question? 1 second. You can use the microphone.
On the red line, you mentioned that the delay was the right of way. Do you have the right of way now, or are you still in process? So Lamata has the right of with Mr. Dabiri?
Yes, correct. You have right.
Okay.
That's my MD you just mentioned. We have a right of way from May 27, 2015, if I'm right of the dates.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Good. 3 other questions, please. Can we have one more chair on here so that...
Yes. Sorry, what was the delay with the blue line? Lamata? Yes. The blue line, what was the delay? Because that's of
the shipwreck away, or they realigned to go past it. So technically, I would say finance and a bit of state to federal constraints. Thank you.
Okay. Afternoon. My name is Ayagrillo. I'll need to basically understand the relationship between Lamata and TFL. It would be good to understand what role TFL is playing. Are they coming at the
time? What are we doing about ensuring that the most recent technology is procured? Because in time past, you see when these locomotives come in, the companies that manufacture them are already extinct, so you have issues of trying to maintain them and the rest of them. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. The first thing I would say that on the blue line and the red line, or the STMP Lagos that is planning, there's no something like locomotive. We're using what they call modern rolling stock. One is in Lagos as we speak. If you care to see, it's in National Theatre, stable there, and it's been built in accordance with the best international standards. It's using EMU, that is electric multiple unit, with the power going to be generated by the private concessionaire, I mean to say. Agreement has been signed, so implementation is in full gear. And the rolling stock we bought is being built with modern state of facility in terms of ATP, dead man, and automatic brake protection, door automatic